Bluey's 5th season is going to bring another episode where Bingo is the main character. We're finally going to see the future of the little pup. But could Bingo's past reveal something important about what's coming next in the Red Healer's life? Illness. In the Bumby episode where Bluey puts on a little play for her sister, we discover something terrible about Bingo. She has some kind of breathing condition, and the future episode in season 5 might help show a little more about this detail. But wait a second. How do we actually know Bingo has breathing problems? In the hospital scene, the doctor asks Bingo to take a deep breath and then says that the little pup's lungs sound strong. But that same doctor also says Bingo needs to stay one more night in the hospital for observation. Isn't that strange? If a doctor doesn't let you leave the hospital while also checking the way you breathe, it usually means something serious happened. Bingo definitely has some kind of breathing issue, and a future episode in season 5 showing the little pup dealing with this condition could be emotional. Don't you agree? But wait, the show is heading into season 4 and not season 5. Yes, that's true, but the future already has other phases prepared for the series, and that's pretty cool, right? And even better is enjoying all of this with us. That's right, another Cinewave is coming for you to enjoy. Part 2. We're also going to get a continuation of a famous episode. Since season 5 is going to show the Healer sisters grown up, we're going to learn a bit more about Bingo's dreams. There's a plan from Ludo Studios to create an episode called Sleepytime, Part 2, where the little pup will dream once again. But this time, not in space. This time, she'll dream underwater. If you remember, that episode had everything to do with Bingo's relationship with her mother. But now we're talking about Bingo's relationship with Bandit. Part 2 of this story will show Bingo as a tiny baby whale. And everything is fine at first, until the dangers of the ocean start to show up. Bingo will run and hide, scared, until a huge whale, Bandit, appears to protect his little calf. And yes, this is not only a reference to bedtime, but also to the whale watching episode, where a calf is protected by its mother. This episode would be amazing to watch, don't you think? Photo. If you remember the photo in the surprise episode where we see Bingo as an adult, you definitely noticed a super interesting clue about the character's future. Bingo is going to travel a lot around the world. She was on the dog version of Easter Island, which is extremely far from Australia, Bingo's home country. This detail is important because in the Curry Quest episode, when Bandit has to travel, Bingo suffers a lot from missing her father. Besides that, Chili narrates the story explaining all the adventures a hero has to go through to complete a mission, and how many times the hero doesn't even want to accept the call to adventure. Bingo will probably go through something similar with her own kids, because this character will likely travel the whole world, since she'll probably have a job similar to her dad's. We're still going to explain what that means later, but if you want a spoiler, Bingo will almost certainly have an episode in season 5 showing the beginning of her life as an explorer. Insects. Anyone who watches Bluey knows that Bingo has a strong connection with bugs, and she'll probably get an episode that digs even deeper into that. You may remember that in the slide episode, she and Lila are trying to play on a water track, but unfortunately, some insects kept getting in the way of their game. And that turned the whole thing into Bingo protecting the bugs and meeting the butterfly Philomena Floppy. This is important to think about because the new season will probably show Bingo discovering new insects, maybe even a beetle. And what does that have to do with her future? Simple. We already know Bingo is likely going to become an insect specialist, traveling around the world and learning all about them. Who knows? Maybe she'll even discover a new species. Sure, this episode might scare some fans since not everyone likes bugs, but Bingo loves them. Would you like to play Butterfly with Bingo? Comment #Bingo so we can get to know you. Lila. Something we already know about Bingo's future, and something that will definitely show up in the new episodes, is related to her friendship with Lila. The two met in their early school years, and according to Lila, they stayed friends for their whole lives, which means Bingo and her best friend will probably work together as adults. In a future photo shown in the episode Daddy Drop-Off, we see that the two of them won a science project award and later graduated together. This proves that Lila will work side by side with Bingo. In fact, it wouldn't be surprising at all to imagine that Lila was the one who took the picture of the red healer on Easter Island. It makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Maybe they even traveled together, and an episode showing this story would be amazing to watch. Floppy. Now, if you're ready to cry, go ahead and grab your tissues, because Bingo is going to say goodbye to Floppy, her beloved stuffed bunny. In the Baby Race episode, we see a picture on the wall showing baby Bingo next to her beloved stuffed Floppy. But Bingo is growing up, and that means she's going to leave this toy behind. But the episode that Season 5 is going to bring us is extremely emotional. Bingo is going to need to make a very important decision, because we already know Floppy is her Good Dreams companion who helps her sleep better. But the Healer family is waiting for a new member. Bluey and Bingo's cousin Brandy's baby. This new character might be a baby who needs comfort, which is why in the upcoming episodes, Bingo will have to make the heartbreaking decision to say goodbye to Floppy and give him as a gift to her cousin.
This would be more than just a kind gesture from Bingo. It would also be a moment of protection and kindness toward her new little cousin. Are you excited to watch this episode? It promises to be emotional.
Dougie. If you think Bingo won't have a romance in the future, you're very mistaken. Bluey's little sister will also have a boyfriend, and maybe even a husband someday, and we already know who he is. We're talking about Dougie, the little pup who can't hear and communicates with people using sign language. Bingo and Dougie are meant to meet at the park, where both of them go with their parents. They try to grab the same stuffed turtle, but it seems like the future doesn't want the two of them to meet just yet. At least, not right now, because they'll only really get to know each other when they're older. Bingo will meet Dougie and realize he was the boy from the park, the one she wanted to share the stuffed turtle with. But it's important to say that for their romance to work, Bingo will need to learn sign language, since Dougie can't hear. And it looks like the fans chose this couple really well, because Bingo and Dougie look absolutely adorable together. Child. If you remember the surprise episode, you definitely noticed that Bingo is a little pup who would love to have lots of kids. She even jokes with Bandit about being a mom, and one of her imaginary babies was special. The head didn't fit the body, and Bandit asks if she'd like to trade babies, but she says no. That could be a hint that one of Bingo's future kids might have a special condition. Maybe the baby will be deaf, just like Dougie, probably because the pup from the park is the father. If that's true, then Bingo will definitely be a very loving mother. And yes, the next season will probably show Bingo's daughter, because in the surprise episode, we meet Bluey's future pup. But in that story, Bingo is the one who dreams of becoming a mom.
The question that stays is, will Bingo's daughter be the main character of the future alongside her cousin we already know? That question makes sense because the Healer cousins, Bluey's daughter and Bingo's daughter, won't live together. And for them to be protagonists at the same time, they'll need to live very close to each other. That's why we already know there will be an episode showing more about Bingo's future puppies in Season 5. Subscribing is quick, easy, and keeps you updated with everything happening here. Let's go? Fairies. In the Fairies episode, Bingo manages to see a magical creature, and that was one of the strongest and most important moments in the entire series, because it revealed that fairies really exist. If Season 5 is going to show a bit more of Bingo's life, then it would be amazing to show her meeting her fairy friend again. Of course, the show never confirmed whether that moment was just Bingo's imagination, but if it was, then it means she's growing emotionally too. We say this because in the episode called Bingo, the little pup had to play alone, and that was a huge challenge for her. If Bingo now has an imaginary friend, it proves she finally developed a strong imagination. When the little pup had to play alone, she told Chili she didn't know how, and that's why we believe that now Bingo has imagined a best friend for herself, a fairy only she can see.
An episode showing a conversation or a little playtime between Bingo and the fairy would be really interesting, don't you think? Therapy. We're also going to watch an episode showing one of Bingo's therapy sessions with a child psychologist. That's because many fans still haven't realized that the little pup needs professional help to understand her own feelings. If you think Bingo doesn't go to therapy, it's probably because you didn't pay attention to the details. But don't worry, you're definitely not the only one. We're gonna show you the proof right now. In the Grumpy episode from season 2, Bingo is talking to Chili until Mrs. Healer says she's being a very disobedient little pup. Bingo gets sad about what her mom said and goes to her room. But when she looks under the bed, Bingo finds a helmet with horns. She shows the helmet to Bandit, and her dad immediately knows what to do. That's the moment when he starts acting like another character, pretending to be her bad mood, misbehaving until Bingo feels better. This is proof that the Healer family creates their own kind of therapy sessions to help the girls, especially Bingo, behave better and understand their emotions. And that's why we're gonna see an episode where Bingo talks to a psychologist and learns more about what she feels. Time. We're also gonna have an episode about the time capsule. Bandit is gonna show his daughters a special box where he will bury important items, and the two girls will choose their favorite toys to put inside. The reason for this is that Bingo will say she doesn't want to grow up and wants to remember her childhood forever. Because of that, we're gonna get a time jump showing the continuation of the surprise episode. Since, if you don't remember, Chili said Bingo was there that day. That's why Bluey takes her daughter to visit her grandparents. The Healer sisters will dig up the time capsule and show their daughters what toys from the past looked like. And that's really cool, right? Before you go, take a look at the 2 videos on the screen. Thanks for watching, and see you next time!